Hi, it's Behind the Curtain IMO, and I'm Betsy Jordan. Welcome back. My daughter and I were driving south to North Carolina to visit my family, or those of my family who are in town or around, and mostly it was to see my mother. And on the way down, I was saying to her, make sure that your license is current, and that your registration is up to date. And she said, well, you don't have to show an ID. That's voting suppression, right? Because more Black and brown people don't have identification. And I said, Jordan, it has changed in the state of North Carolina. And she was so sure that it had not. So fortunately, we talked about it and she looked it up and found, yes, indeed, they are saying that you need an identification to vote in North Carolina. Now, there are some exceptions, and yet, if you want to be prepared and not be uncomfortable voting, listen to me now. Please go check your voter registration. Please check and make sure that your ID is current and will be current at the time of the election, and then you should be able to vote as long as your registration and your ID match on the day of the election. If you have some exception, then you'll be able to check this information ahead of time and know exactly what you need to attest to. Now, if for some reason somebody gives you a hard time, then you need to be aware of what you need to do in the event that your identification is rejected, or you maybe have just moved to your polling place or whatever. There are exceptions to that, and it varies by state. So I'm attaching the links below in every single video about checking out your voter registration and registering if you haven't, to check your ID, make sure that it is current, and if you don't have one, then get one. It's probably better for you to go ahead and do that. Make sure that those two match, and if they don't, then find out what you need to do in order to vote. It is very, very important that you exercise your right, particularly in this election, which looks like it's going to be pretty close. For North Carolina, close on all levels. And, if it's outside the margin of error 2 or 3 points, that's still very squeaky close, okay? Because there's this thing. Polling has gotten a little different these days. It's gotten where, I don't answer my phone often. And it's not just that I'm not screening calls, it's because I get distracted so easily that I don't necessarily look at my phone all the time. And I do need to create spaces, time to create something new, like time to do this video. I've got my phone on Do Not Disturb now. But there are a variety of reasons why we need to do that in today's world. To put our Do Not Disturb on, to not be distracted by somebody needing our attention unless it's an emergency, but to be available to people and to be willing to connect with people. There are times when we are distracted because there's so much going on technologically and so much going on in the world. It's really easy to get overwhelmed. So I'm saying this to you, that every day I'm posting a video, with the exception of 1 or 2 between now and the election. And every day I'm posting where you can check your registration and where you can go and figure out information on your state to vote. And every day I'm also posting a link to donate to Kamala Harris. And I hope you will use those links. And I hope that you will participate in the election on all levels. I have been threatening to talk to you about the Electoral College, and I am going to do that in the video tomorrow. The way we choose our president, and it has been brought up several times, is not what we expect. We think if we go and we vote at the ballot box that we're going to be electing our president. That's not how presidents are elected. It's not just the popular vote, though the popular vote does influence very strongly the election. And I will talk to you more about that. It's just very, very important that once I tell you about this, that you not minimize the value of your vote. Your vote is important and it counts. And with all the talk about challenging the election and issues with legalities at the ballot box and these kinds of things. We have had fair and free elections in this country, and there are a lot of people who are interested in keeping it that way. Most of the people of America, of the United States of America, want to keep our elections fair and free and honest and just. The process, we all have some idea that that might need to be changed. And it is accurate to say that we have a republic. It does not guarantee a democracy. But we have also had a democracy in this country, and we want to keep that way. So please check out your information. You have till October the 11th to register to vote if you have not registered officially to be able to vote in this election, though you can go on election day and register to vote. I'm just not sure if in every state you can register to vote on the same day and also vote in that election. I think in some states you can, in some states you cannot. So please go in to those links, choose your state, and find out your information. The other thing is that you want to find out what your identification requirements are at your polling place. And early voting does not mean that all the precincts are open, but early voting starts in North Carolina. I think there's early voting as early as September 9. I'm not sure about that. I need to check on that again, but October 17th is when officially early voting starts, and it's not every single day, and it's not every single time the same every day. So please go and check out your early voting polling places. Vote early and vote so that you can go and take people to the polls and help other people vote. It's so important and is always important, but particularly important right now when so many things are at stake on the ballot. And this is Behind the Curtain. I thank you so much for being here. Have a great evening.